definitely not real estate. It can be close with a triple net, where the tenant has all the responsibilities, but ultimately, you're still responsible for that property.
That's humorous. That's crap from TikTok.
He's crap from TikTok. Renting out your property is now humorous. He's got all these tenants, but he's telling people not to rent to people. Before I give anybody advice, I need to know all the goddamn details and all the numbers in the transaction. That's what I do when you go to consult with Ben. It's called use your brain. You can't just tell people, don't rent it out. Why not? It's a house. You collect the rent, you rent it to a decent person. What does he say? You can't rent a house? I don't know anywhere in this whole country where you can't rent a house out.
Planning to hire a property
Doesn't matter.
company.
It's not passive.
Yes, you can hire a property management company to do it, and they do it every day, and they do it for hundreds of people. It could be anywhere as low as 3% to 10%, dependent. If it's a house, and the house is probably paying $1,500 a month, they're probably going to charge you 10%, $150 a month. If the tenant has a problem, they're going to call the management company. The management company is going to collect the rent. You know, they may pay your bills, which you ain't going to have many, and that's it. Why? You can do it yourself. Next.
In New York City, there are buildings, high-end buildings that they build, right? Like where the apartments go for $5 million, $10 million, $20 million, $50 million, right? They're 80% empty. Do you know why they're 80% empty? They'll buy a flat in London for $140 million. You go, what, $140 million? Who would ever live there? They don't live there. They don't rent it either, because then they can't.
Everything with this guy, it's a conspiracy. Yeah, it's the Chinese, it's the Russians, it's the... Who the fuck cares? And what are you worried about people buying all these fucking multi-million-dollar places anyway? They must can afford it. Who gives a fuck?
Because then they can't call it as an asset.
Investment.
Now what you do is this. You take that $140 million flat and you borrow against it. You borrow against it. So now you take that money and you put it in the stock market, and that's how you wash your money, baby.
Whoa.
Yes.
Every one of these type of people he's talking about, he doesn't know, okay? Because he ain't buying these type of assets. Yes, you can borrow against real estate, but you gotta prove you can make the payment still. I can take a loan on a fucking $100 million worth of real estate, but if it ain't making me money, they ain't gonna loan me no money against it. How you gonna pay for the house? You go to a bank right now, hey, I got a $5 million house, but I got no fucking income. They ain't loaning you shit. And the house ain't making no income. How the fuck you gonna pay the bank? And I don't even think what he's saying is really true, because why would you buy real estate and get no return and have all those expenses? They still gotta pay taxes, they still gotta have insurance, they still got housing association dues if they're one of those big fancy buildings, they still got utilities to keep on. Why would they do that when you can take $100 million or whatever the fuck they're playing with and stick it in a bank at 5%? And why is it the foreigners only?
And you put it in the stock market, and that's how you wash your money, baby.
Whoa.
Yes.
They didn't wash the money. They took the money, they bought real estate, they got credit against the real estate that they got to pay interest on, and then they invested in the stock market. What happens if they lose in the stock market? You could take cash that they bought the real estate from and stick it in a goddamn brokerage account and borrow against it if you don't want to mess with it, and get more money than you would get from borrowing against real estate. You could buy bonds, you could buy a portfolio of stocks, and you can still leverage it. So what's the point in buying the real estate? I don't understand. I think he just comes up with these conspiracy theories in his head. Unless they felt like the real estate was gonna appreciate, he claims they're not. They just bought overpriced real estate? Bullshit. How are they washing? What the fuck are they washing? The money, they had the money. They put it in real estate. How is that a wash? If anything, it's the opposite. They dirty the money. Because now they tied it up in something. Nobody's going to take a briefcase full of cash to buy a piece of real estate. It doesn't work that way. And you got to take title to it. And you got to have property taxes that you're registered with. Even if you set up in a company name. The money still has to be transferred to a title company. There's no other way. It's not possible in this day and time to buy real estate unless you're buying some crazy little shitty house with 50 grand in a suitcase, some old guy. I don't know, but it ain't happening in those kind of properties.